in progress. Vancouver Canucks taking on the Calgary Flames off the Scotiabank Saddledome.
As we welcome other viewers to Calgary, Andrew Alberts is knocked out here on a hit, and Tom Sestito has dropped the gloves with Brian McGrattan. Andrew Alberts in some trouble after a high hit knocked him to the ice, and he appeared to lose consciousness.
And McGrattan was getting a penalty to start with.
Players and officials over to keep the combatants from running into Andrew Alberts. Is now getting to his knees, but
I think McGrattan's going to get tossed on this one. Yeah, they're pointing to the dressing room.
A high hit on Andrew Alberts. Just as those who were watching San Francisco defeat Arizona by a field goal joined us here in Calgary, and Andrew Alberts being checked out by Mike Bernstein.
Here comes McGrattan, and the hands are high. Look at the elbows and the hands go right to the head of Andrew Alberts. So Tom Sestito says, okay, you can't do that.
Alberts back on his feet. He'll head to the dressing room.
And that's one of those that Brendan Shanahan will look at in the first point of contact.
John Tortorella confirming major penalty. And they call it an elbow.
Well, you can see the elbow in the hands right to the head of Andrew Alberts. And McGrattan's a big guy. He could hit. And it would have been a clean hit, except he's got the elbow and the hands right to the head of Andrew Alberts.
Did you think the head contacted the glass as well?
That's it. That's part of it.
So a 5-minute major for elbowing at 2:43, and the Canucks extended power play time here, looking to open the score. Garrison with a drive, and that hurt Lance Boma, who's slow to get up. And he'll struggle to the Calgary bench. Endeavor to get an update on Andrew Alberts as that puck came off Henrik Sedin right to Reddy Lack. Here's Lee Stempniak with him short-handed. Stempniak making moves in the Vancouver zone, passes down low to Matt Stajan. Stajan looking across. Giordano was moving down from the blue line. He gets the puck on the left wing and tips it in behind the goal. Finally, the Canucks retake possession. There's still just under 4.5 minutes to go in their power play. There's a long shot on Barry, and he just got enough of it to steer it wide of the goal. Flames bring the puck out. Paul Byron down the right wing, wide on Garrison, and off the puck away, and Ryan Kessler's back to pick it up. He swings it around for Henrik Sedin with a minute gone, and the major penalty to Brian McGrattan. Daniel Sedin across to Kevin Bieksa. Bieksa reverses. Here's Daniel. Daniel Sedin into the corner for Henrik. He passes to the blue line to Yannick Weber, over to Bieksa. Kevin Bieksa down to the corner, centers for Kessler, tried to throw one across, puck is loose, it's underneath the defenseman Schmid, and the whistle blows with 3:39 to go in the man advantage. As always, Canuck Power Play brought to you by Subway. Escape the cold with the new Sriracha Steak Melt. Subway, eat fresh.
Ryan Kessler shooting in stride, surprised Red O'Bara with this one, and squeaks through and just goes wide to the far post. O'Bara has that one go underneath his arms. He couldn't get his arm in tight enough.
Mike Santorelli out to take this face-off. Still the Canucks' best face-off man percentage-wise, but because Ryan Kessler's taken so many draws on that line with Santorelli on the right wing, he doesn't qualify in the NHL rankings anymore. Here's Stajan trying to sift his way in front. Santorelli winds up with the puck and works it free to Chris Higgins. Higgins over the Calgary line left wing. Down the boards for Jannik Hansen and around for Mike Santorelli. To the blue line to Kevin Bieksa. Santorelli takes his pass. Santorelli still with the puck, back to Bieksa. Weber wants the one-timer. There's the pass, but he'll settle the puck instead. Bieksa, slap shot, blocked. And it's Boma who's back out there after blocking the early attempt by Jason Garrison. Bieksa, good job to hold the puck in, but now it's intercepted and shot out by Chris Butler. A little over 2 minutes elapsed in the major penalty to Brian McGrattan for the elbow on Andrew Alberts. Higgins and Santorelli got their signals crossed, and that allows Gagliardi to clear the zone for Calgary. first unit for the Canucks will start to make its way back onto the ice. As the puck is thrown forward to Daniel Sedin in center. Daniel to Henrik. Garrison with him, takes the pass, shoots, partially blocked, and then the goaltender took it in the chest. Canucks keep possession of the puck. Henrik Sedin to the blue line to Ryan Kessler. Kessler for Henrik, he missed the pass. TJ Brodie gets the puck and he backhands it down the ice. Power play is more than half over. Flames being outshot 4-0 early in the hockey game, but the game is still scoreless. Daniel Sedin missed that pass, but now he gets the puck. Back to Garrison, and he failed on the one-time attempt. Here comes Paul Byron for Calgary, and he elects to dump the puck deep into Vancouver territory. Under 2 minutes to go in the 5-minute power play. Daniel Sedin ahead to Henrik Sedin, and his pass was a bit ambitious. Flames turn the puck the other way, and Byron plays it gently into the Vancouver zone.
Canucks trying low percentage passes. Haven't really had any good scoring chances on this 5-minute power play.
1 for 12 in their last 4 games are the Canucks. Flames with the 5th best penalty killing at home, but tied for 16th overall in the NHL. Now we get a power play unit of Dalby, Kassian, and Booth. Long shot from the line, wide. Kassian gets the puck on the right wing. Back to Bieksa again, and that one he wedged out of play. And the face-off will come outside the blue line with 1:13 to go in the power play. Murph.
John, I'd like to remind everyone to play Safeway's $1 million score and win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Christina Lamb of Burnaby could win $1 million. Shop and swipe at Safeway. You could be our next lucky winner.
John, I often talk about getting your feet ready to shoot, and you can see Kevin Bieksa. He gets this one, and it's in front of him. His back foot slipped, and it's in front of him, so he ends up shooting it into the webbing.
Here's Weber. That's the puck into the Calgary zone. Kassian does well to get it back to Garrison. He moves to the middle. Down to Zach Kassian. Kassian moving towards the middle, into the corner. Booth. David Booth comes off the left wing. Booth for the wrist shot. Stick save, rebound. Kassian tried to swat it into midair and missed. And Gagliardi carries the puck out for the Flames. 45 seconds to go in the 5-minute power play for the Canucks. This could be a real momentum boost for the hometown Flames, who have just 1 win in their last 6 games. Canucks, meanwhile, have 9 wins in December. The club record is 11. They could match it with victories against Calgary tonight and Philadelphia tomorrow. Here's Kessler moving in over the Flames line. Pass blocked by Ladislav Smid. Brodie gets the puck, sends it down, and there's now just 15 seconds to go in the power play. Hughes overskates the puck, stops to pick it up. One last rush with a man advantage. David Jones inserting the major from McGrattan, standing in the box. 3 shots for the Canucks on the power play as it comes to an end. Here's Hughes wristing one wide of the goal. Henrik centers. Kessler missed the pass, and Calgary breaks up. David Jones to Yuri Hudler. Hudler for Giordano joining the rush. That was blocked. Giordano goes after the puck behind the net, puts it in front. It's up in the air. Picked up by Matt Stajan, but a hand pass stops play. And we'll take a break. Canucks disappointing with the early opportunity, but the game remains scoreless.
Win against Boston after losing 5-0 the night before against the Bruins.
I forgot to express my complete and utter surprise as we looked at Joachim Eriksson at the bench that the Canucks after the 1985-86 season didn't retire the number 31.
Yes, it is a surprise, isn't it?
And he lacked one in the Vancouver goal.
Illustrious with that number 31.
Here's David Booth trying to muscle his way through. Puck play to the side. Dan Hamhuis wrist one in front. Blocked. And Camilleri blocked the pass, goes after the puck at center. Canucks are offside here. They'll tag up, allowing play to continue, and Vancouver starts to change on the fly. Butler will allow Calgary to do the same by waiting with the puck behind his own net. Brodie takes his pass. Throws one ahead. Jones deflects the puck through the line. Conley shoots it out of the crease to the side, and here come the Canucks. 4 of them to center. Kessler to Santorelli. Now to Higgins. On the backhand, he shoots, kicked out. Rebound. Santorelli couldn't get to it. And the puck is cleared out by Matt Stajan. Dan Hamhuis controls. Tanev takes his pass, and Christopher Tanev has room to move. Up ahead for Higgins, took it off his skate, dumps the puck in behind the goal. Santorelli after it on Giordano. Stajan plays the puck around, gets it by Tanev and out to center. Garrison ahead for Santorelli. In front, Kessler with a shot, and that deflected off Butler and up over the glass for a whistle. Shots 7-0 Canucks, still no score. 9:32 to go in the first in Calgary.
It only happens once a year. The incredible Boxing Week sale at the Canucks team store. Save up to 50% on a great selection of authentic merchandise, apparel, and collectibles. Visit any of the 3 locations, Robson at Thurlow, Hastings at Renfrew, or Gate 6 at Rogers Arena. The sale ends Tuesday. The Canucks team store, where the players shop.
Oh, you like that, Shorty, with the Seahawk hat. Swedish goalie, no problem. For Eddie Lack. And
Joachim Eriksson, doesn't matter who plays. Canuck fans will hope that sentiment rings true. Here's Daniel Sedin hooking one in front just out of the reach of Henrik. And the Flames clear to center. Tanev plays the puck back. Henrik Sedin picks it up. Now to Daniel. Garrison throws one forward. Canucks still playing without Andrew Alberts. Lots of different defense pairings as they go with 5. Alberts on the hit for McGrattan. They got McGrattan toss from the game, and Andrew Alberts has not returned. Here's a puck in front. Foley had trouble with it. Henrik jamming away, and Barrow winds up with it. Hansen creating a disturbance in front, and Barrow was having trouble covering that puck.
Ladislav Smid took Yannick Hansen, and no call on that play as Hansen was trying to get to the net. Barrow had trouble with this one. It's tipped, it bounces, plays it with his blocker, and Henrik can't make contact on the second rebound. Off the blocker, and Henrik, Barrow made a good pad save on the second.
Shots 9-0 Vancouver. Just under 9 minutes to go in the first period as Stajan is waved out. Gagliardi moves in to take the draw against Ryan Kessler. Kessler wins it. Chris Higgins down the left wing. Behind the net for Santorelli. Turning to get away from Brody. Santorelli turns again. Feeds the blue line. Hughes tried to wrist one through. Puck deflects to Bieksa on the right side. Kevin Bieksa back to Kessler. Shoots and a right pad save by Barrow. Stajan clears the zone. Kessler able to get in front of that one. Trying to get away from Stempniak. Puck winds up on Bieksa's stick. That hit the linesman, Thor Nelson. He'll blow it down on the offside with Gagliardi trapped inside the line.
Well, as mentioned, these teams have met once this season. Go back to the first week of the season. Third game for the Vancouver Canucks. In that one, Mike Santorelli had a pair of goals, including one in the third when, for the first time this season, John Tortorella split up the Twins. Also had the overtime winner.
Santorelli got another overtime winner a short time later against the New Jersey Devils. He has 2 of the Canucks' 5 sudden death goals. Here's a chance for Calgary in front. Hoodler drops the puck back. Wrist shot steered to the corner by Brad Richardson. David Booth to Yannick Weber. He plays the puck forward for Zach Cassidy, who's behind Shane O'Brien, moving towards the net. Smith came over to try to knock him down, but he wound up going to the ice. Here's Tanev at the blue line. Wrist shot tipped through by Booth, and that one trickles wide. Booth checks Smith in the corner. O'Brien without a stick had to kick that puck to Derek Smith, but the Flames able to send it down into the Vancouver zone. Black with a quick up for Cassian at center, but he missed the puck. Under 8 minutes to go in the first, no score. Ladislav Smid drops the puck off for Mark Giordano. Throws one ahead. Colburn deflects one through. Lack has to catch that. That might be the first Calgary shot of the hockey game as Lack takes the whistle.
Everybody knows how well the Vancouver Canucks have played in December, the 9-1-1 record, and you can see a big part of it is their defense and goaltending. 1.55 goals against. Calgary Flames right there. The Flames have played much better defensively, but having problems scoring. They've been shut out 2 of their last 5 games. Reto Barrow was in for both those.
That last puck was probably headed over top of the net, and they don't credit the Flames with a shot. In some cities, management will be storming over to make sure they did. Camilleri trying to bring the puck out front. Canucks take it away, and it's out to neutral ice. Paul Byron dumps the puck back in. Lack and Garrison got their signals crossed. Here's a chance, and Eddie Lack first stop off Camilleri after he and Garrison got confused behind the net with what they were going to do with the puck. Yannick Hansen sends it out to center, and Chris Butler takes control for the Flames. Butler dumps the puck in, and he's around for Kevin Bieksa. Couldn't take it cleanly. Dalby's there for the Canucks to get the puck out. Second fourth line shift for Vancouver in a short period of time here. Remember, the Canucks play again tomorrow at home against Philadelphia.
And Philadelphia is sitting waiting for them after their win in Edmonton last night.
17 back-to-backs for the Canucks this season. This is their 10th. Tanev. Boma takes the puck away. Eddie Lack with the save on the short side as Lance Boma rushed in off the left wing. Canucks 5-3-1 in the first half of back-to-back, 6-3 in the second half so far this season. That adds up to an overall record of 11-6-1.
They didn't give Eddie credit for a save on that last one.
Looked like he got the blocker on the short side. Here's Santorelli ahead to Kessler. He moves in after his own dumping. Kessler to Higgins. Centering pass blocked. Higgins again. Brody's on him. Higgins works his way to the corner. Still with the puck. Dumps it behind the net for Ryan Kessler. He missed the puck, but Santorelli's in after. Along the corner boards for Kessler. Puck went off Santorelli's skate, intercepted by the Flames, and Brody brings it out through center, dumping the puck into the Vancouver zone. Digging the puck free is Weber. And Yannick Weber slides it ahead to Ryan Kessler. Checked briefly by David Jones, but Kessler got the puck back and shot it into the Calgary end. David Booth for Santorelli at the end of his shift. He missed the puck. And wheeling out is Mark Giordano. Giordano, 4 points in his last 4 games. He's got 17 points in 20 games played this season. Missed a big chunk of time with injury. He's headed to the bench. Shane O'Brien back for the puck. Brings it around for Ladislav Schmid. Up ahead, here's Sean Monahan, but he was in just ahead of the puck. So the offside whistle blows. And still no score here with 4.5 to go in the first.
Dump in goes by Chris Tanev. Lance Boma's there. Steals it. Eddie Lack, good save short side. And then Eddie Lack, goaltender, stop it and get out of the way. Stop it, get out of the way. He couldn't. His stick was there. Jason Garrison had problems, and Eddie bails himself out with a good save there.
Right after this game, it's episode 3. 24/7, road to the NHL Winter Classic. The case of the disputed water bottle. Part of the feature this time around. Here's Dan Hamhuis on a wraparound trot. Berra held that out. Flames worked the puck to the Vancouver blue line. Hamhuis there to collect. Tanev to Henrik Sedin. He dumps the puck back in. Berra out to play it. Reto Berra up the near side. Gets it by Daniel Sedin. And the puck goes off a Calgary stick right in front. Hansen back to Hamhuis. Tried to get it in off the end boards. That hit Schmid. And the Flames get the puck out to Michael Backlund. He's in over the Vancouver line. Backlund centers the puck. Giordano put it on goal. Stopped by Lack. And the rebound shot wide by Camilleri. Under 4 minutes to go in a scoreless first. Yannick Hansen deflects the puck in and heads to the bench. Waiting is TJ Brody. And now Butler plays the puck to center. It's deflected. Bieksa missed it with the glove. Here's Hoodler trying to move in, and Bieksa recovering, made a sprawling play with the stick. David Jones gets the puck. That shot goes off the side of the net. Bieksa trying to work the puck up the far side. And able to get it on the backhand. Booth tied up by O'Brien. And Jones feeds into the corner for Monahan. Sean Monahan for David Jones. Puck got by him. Richardson plays it up for Kassian. Intercepted by Hoodler. Harrison will try the other side, but he whiffed as he tried to work the puck up the boards. Flames still have it in the Vancouver zone. O'Brien in around for Hoodler. Centering pass tipped away by Booth. Smith holds the puck in. Best sustained pressure for Calgary of the period with just under 3 minutes to go in the first. Centering pass goes by Jones. Almost looked like he did that on purpose, thinking O'Brien might be moving down from the blue line. The Canucks able to come up with a puck, and Kassian jumps into the Calgary end. Weber. Kessler, touch pass to Santorelli, who tries to work his way in on the right side. Puck back to the Vancouver blue line. Kessler drops it to Hughes. Up ahead, Santorelli moving it on Brody. One hands the puck in behind the goal. Butler there to get it. He finds Gagliardi, who turns, takes a hit from Kessler and gets the puck out. Stempniak bobbled it in center. He goes after it again. Kessler takes the body. Weber takes the puck, but gives it to Stempniak. Kessler try to hit him in open ice. Flames wind up with a puck, and Stajan is in on the left side with a slap shot, and that whistled wide on the short side. Puck ricochets to Higgins, and here he comes with Dalpe. Zach Dalpe down the left wing with a wrist shot. Walker save for Berra. Dalpe's after the puck again. Into the corner, trying to find Dale Weiss, who now goes after the puck behind the net. Flames clear to the near side, held in by Tanev. Under a minute and a half to go in the period, and the Flames get the puck out to neutral ice. Garrison back up for Weiss. He's bodied by Schmid, and there was a Calgary player up on the boards waiting to come on the ice. That was Camilleri. He wound up getting knocked right down to the ground in the Calgary bench area. Now Tanev falls down trying to go off at the Vancouver bench. Final minute, first period. Boma deep in the Vancouver zone. Lance Boma to Camilleri, who banks the puck to himself. To the blue line now. Giordano with a wrist shot blocked in front. Henrik Sedin gets the puck. He's got Hansen ahead of the play. There's the pass. Jannik Hansen on a breakaway. Bobbled the puck. Now he gets it. He scores. Jannik Hansen stayed with it. Crashes into the corner boards after beating Berra as he opens the scoring with 40 seconds to go in the first.
And what a pass by Henrik Sedin. And give Jannik Hansen credit for being able to handle the pass, bobbled it a little bit, and changed the angle on Berra. When Jannik Hansen bobbled it, Berra slid too far to his left. Look at this pass by Henrik Sedin. Jannik Hansen controls it, knocks it down, bobbled it a little bit, changed the angle, and just inside the post. A perfect shot by Jannik Hansen. Not much chance for Berra on this one because he's got to go to his left. Went just a little too far, and Hansen room to score.
19:20, the time of the opening goal. And Hansen has his 7th off the perfect feed from the Canuck captain. Shots 13-2 in favor of the Canucks. And they're in again. Santorelli down the left wing. Higgins who made that pass. Really trying to break through to the net. Puck poked away by the goaltender. Canucks hold it in. Santorelli to Kessler. Centering pass intercepted by Yuri Hudler. And he gets the puck out. Hughes will have to chase back after it. Dan Hughes had the second assist on the goal by Hansen. 5 seconds to go in the period. One last opportunity for Higgins. Off the right wing, he carries in deep, and he'll run out of time as he tried to throw it in front. But the Canucks will head to the dressing room with the lead on the late goal from Jannik Hansen.
Welcome back to Calgary. First game after the break. Vancouver Canucks leading the Flames 1-0 just ahead of the second period. Goal by Jannik Hansen, his 7th. Beautiful feed from Henrik Sedin. Dan Hughes the second assist. And look at the shots. 13-2 in favor of the visitors. Eddie Lack, the starter, he's given up 2 or fewer goals in 6 consecutive starts. You gentlemen wouldn't happen to know if any other Canuck rookie goaltender's done that?
Yes, Dan. There was one back in the mid-90s by the name of Corey Hirsch.
And look at that, number 31. Look at the stand-up style. Corey, here is the stand-up style. There's Corey, one of the last goalies that play that kind of style, and a real athletic guy. Has done a great job with the St. Louis Blues. So is their goalie coach.
2 or fewer in 6 consecutive starts, and he lacked carrying that into this one. He hasn't started the games consecutively, of course, but personal consecutive starts. One 1-0 Canucks as we get underway, period number 2. And Vancouver still with just 5 defensemen. Andrew Alberts did not come out for period number 2. TJ Gagliardi ahead to Matt Stajan. Here's Lee Stempniak trying to return the puck to Stajan. Slides deep into the Vancouver zone. Lack helps it around to the near side. Henriksen lets it go through, but it's held in by Schmid. Tanev with room to move. Up for Daniel Sedin. He couldn't get any mustard on that attempted dump in, and Schmid sends the puck the other way to Michael Backlund. Trying to go wide on Henry, so got a piece of it. Puck comes to the blue line. Butler checked by Santorelli, and he slides the puck down into the Calgary end. Just over a minute into the second period. As Brody banks one forward, tipped the other way by Kevin Bieksa. Hustling after the puck is David Booth. Booth on the line with Kessler and Santorelli here. This is where we normally see Chris Higgins. And is there another player missing from the Vancouver bench, Jones? Finally, let's go with a shot over top of the net. I only count 12 down there, so the Canucks may be minding the forward as well. Here's a chance in front. Camilleri fakes the shot, steps around, drops. Backlund stopped by Lack, and he falls on the puck for the whistle.
Eddie Lack, again, a good position save. Calgary Flames drop it back to Michael Backlund, who is right in the prime scoring position. Canucks can't get it out. Backlund, all sorts of time and space, and Eddie Lack, top of the crease to make the save. You're right, John. There's only 11 guys, and that's what Andrew Alberts found. There has to be another forward missing.
So the Canucks down a couple of bodies. Calgary without Brian McGrattan, who was thrown out of the game for the hit that knocked Alberts out. Here's Kassian after a puck at center, fighting off the check of Derek Smith. Here's Chris Higgins just returning to the bench now. And Patty O'Neill with him, so he must have had an equipment issue. So the Canucks back to their full complement of forwards. Red O'Bara out of his net leaves the puck for Smith. He dumps it to center. Lance Boma there. Drops off for Sean Monahan. The fine rookie in with a wrist shot that's steered over the glass by Chris Tanev. Canucks got the only goal of the game late in the first with 40 seconds to go. Produced a winner on Safeway Score and win for Safeway. And Oikos Multipacks went Hewitt of Duncan as one of Bradley original electric smoker. I believe in Greece they actually pronounce it Ecos.
Yannick Hansen just flings his wrist shot just inside the post after knocking that beautiful pass down from Henrik Sedin.
I was trying to wow you with my worldly knowledge.
Yes. Eat at a lot of Greek restaurants, I know you do.
Icing call coming up against Calgary as Garrison gets back ahead of Stempniak. Face-off coming up in the Flame zone. Sedin line will come out for the draw.
A week off is a long time for any team, and I'm sure John Tortorella was a little worried about how his team would come out in this one. The Flames had played against Edmonton already after the 3-day Christmas break, so they're back into it. And I think Tortorella has to be pleased with the way the Canucks played in the first period. Power play, a few chancy passes that didn't work, but other than that, I thought the Canucks carried the play.
Colburn waved out of the face-off circle. Boma will move in to take it against Henrik Sedin. If you're just joining us, Henrik hit by a puck in warm-up. Had to leave, get stitched up on his left ear.
Now, is this the double?
The rule
okay, now here's the rule that's never called. And you can see the referees now, and
they're going to call it.
No, nope. They're just another second on the clock.
The rule that shall never again be called.
Yes.
There's Henrik Sedin, who was able to answer the bell and play this hockey game. Despite the deflected puck of the ear, Hansen in front. And he put that one off the target. Hansen holds the puck in, but Brody brings it out with a bank pass to Lee Stempniak. Hansen steps into him. Garrison goes back for the puck as the Flames change in the neutral zone. Long feet ahead to Henrik Sedin, making moves on the left wing. Henrik leaves for Daniel, in front for Hansen, and he redirected that one through the crease and out the other side. Flames clear the puck down, no icing as Garrison goes back. He's being watched by TJ Gagliardi. Garrison drives one around the center. Daniel Sedin couldn't take it clean. Benally collects the puck and moves in front. Kessler shoots, and that just missed the net. Ryan Kessler behind the goal for Daniel Sedin. Blue line feed, Hamhuis. Got it through to Tanev, down the board. Santorelli into the corner for Kessler. Schmid is on him. Tanev moves down to the right point. Here's Kessler again for Daniel Sedin. Checked by Giordano, who shovels the puck around. Hamhuis holds it in, puts it in front. Kessler fighting it a bit, taking the puck away his stage, and he works it out. Pass didn't work at the Vancouver blue line. And that forced the play offside. Talked about Henrik's injury in warm-up. Here's what happened.
Well, some guys don't wear helmets. Henrik does, and fortunately for him, he does. The shot by Dale Weiss, and notice Dale doesn't have a helmet on. Off the crossbar, and catches Henrik right in the side of the head, and most of it hit his helmet, but part of it hit his ear. He had to go up, have some stitches. He's got a protective covering now over those stitches on a different helmet.
Helmet was cracked. That's why he has a different helmet. And his Ironman streak continues, 669. Don't forget you can add 75 playoff games to that. Flames trying to set up a chance in front. Hoodler. Guidely back, left point. Butler slap shot, gloved by Eddie Lack. And he hangs on for the whistle. Murph.
Guys, Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game between the Canucks and Flames is Oiko's multi-packs.
Your favorite player? Blueberry is good.
You like that?
Yes. Health food.
Maggie likes the vanilla. Booth hit by David Jones. Jones takes lever down. Here's a chance for Coleman. He elects to skate the puck back. Now throws it across. Smith with a wrist shot blocked by Tanev. Then Richardson winds up with the puck. Breaking early is Kassian hoping for the lead pass. He'll chase the puck down, negate the icing. Booth brings it out front. Backhand attempt, and falling on the puck is Berra. After Kassian and Booth work the puck deep in the Calgary zone.
That's a good play by Brad Richardson. The long touchdown pass to Zach Kassian, who ran underneath it, negates the icing, creates the opportunity for David Booth to try the wraparound, and Reto Berra is there to make the save. Play in the offensive zone.
Dalby wins the draw back to Hamhuis. He slams one wide of the goal. Sestito goes after the loose puck. Dalby making moves, coming off the boards. Smith checked in. He's able to work the puck to the side. And out with it is Paul Byron. In over the Vancouver line on the left wing. Byron trying to throw one in front. Weiss winds up with the puck, can't get it out. Smith to O'Brien. Shane O'Brien with a blast. That hit his skate and went wide of the goal. Stempniak tried to get it to the blue line. Dalby intercepts. Throws one across to Dale Weiss, and he makes sure he gets the puck in behind the Calgary goal. 5.5 minutes into the second. Canucks leading 1-0. Shots are 2 apiece. Actually 2-1 Calgary here in the second. Flames doubling their output for the game. Held to 2 shots in the first period. The third time this season Calgary's been held to that number in a period of play. And Stajan. After the puck again, Canucks send it around to Jannik Hansen. Hansen to Henrik Sedin, in on the right wing. Henrik stops, centers, Daniel shoots, and a blocker saved by Berra. Hansen after the loose puck. Giordano's on him, comes loose to the near side, Stajan hooks it into the middle to Hoodler. And he makes a move in his own zone before skating the puck ahead. Hoodler on to the left wing, Giordano working on Tanev, puts the puck in front, Daniel Sedin, it hit Henrik up high. This time off the stick of Daniel. Henrik will head to the bench after his second altercation with a puck this evening.
Mike Bernstein's looking down at Henrik, but hasn't moved in that direction yet.
Here's Santorelli down the left wing. Chris Higgins works his way to the corner. Camilleri trying to check it. And the Flames come up with the puck, center right up the middle. And it'll go wide, so it's an icing call, bringing the face-off back into the Calgary zone. It's one of those days.
Henrik Sedin's coming back, and puck by Jason Garrison. Daniels just trying to chip it out. Catches his brother up high. There's Daniel trying to clear it.
A lot less damage from that one. Kessler will take this face off against Matt Stajan. And now it'll be Camilleri as Stajan slides to the side, trying to get it back to Higgins. Comes back to Hanius. He risks one behind the goal. Santorelli tried to center on the backhand. That hit the net. Schmid shovels the puck to Stajan. He put it on the stick of Ryan Kessler. Tried to find Santorelli, taking the puck away Schmid, and he gets it out. Stajan slides it forward. Hanius knocks that away. Santorelli after the puck, can't get it by Backlund. But Tanev able to clear the zone. Here's Kessler down the right side, cuts in front of the backhand. And he was checked as he tried to put the puck on goal. Brody threw it up the middle. Butler was able to get it. Could have come right through to Tanev. But Butler's able to get to center and play the puck behind the Canuck net. Lack on the backhand, passes to Tanev, ahead to Santorelli. Checked by Shane O'Brien, but Kessler gets the puck out to Higgins. And he'll start a change by sending it in behind the Calgary goal. 8 minutes into the second, 1-0 Vancouver on the 7th of the year for Jannik Hansen. David Jones chases after the puck in the Vancouver zone. Finds Backlund. He was checked by Booth as he tried to get a shot away. Garrison winds up with the puck behind the goal and sends it around for David Booth. Booth tried to play it into the middle. That didn't work. Garrison to the other side. And here's Weber ahead to Cassian. He turns and finds Booth at center, crisscrossing with Richardson. Booth works his way to the left point and takes a hit from O'Brien as he passes down the boards. Colborne hit by Cassian as he plays the puck around to Smith, who just unloads it to center, but it works out right to Hudler. Over to Joe Colborne. He goes wide, cuts in front, cuts underneath, Lack, and he gets the whistle. As Joe Colborne powered his way towards the front, but Eddie Lack holds it out on a goal line stand, and his team continues to lead by 1.
Here's Joe Colborne. I'm sure the Flames would like to see more of this. The big guy bringing the puck to the net. Eddie Lack does a nice job. Strength down on the goal line, making sure that that doesn't get powered in.
Canucks control off the face-off, and Jannik Hansen brings the puck out, dumps it from his own side of center. And that's an icing call with Ladislav Schmid just a shade ahead of Daniel Sedin. Don't forget about the Tim Hortons BC Junior Curling Championships. You got the women's final, Sportsnet Pacific, Tuesday at 10:30 in the morning, followed by the men's final at 3. From the Chilliwack Curling Club, the BC Junior Curling Championships, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Daniel Sedin ahead for Hansen. He couldn't move in. Daniel follows up and dumps the puck in behind the Calgary goal. He's moved past the 9-minute mark of the second period. And Stajan tried to find Stepniak. That pass was just out of his reach. Hughes plays the puck around for Kevin Bieksa. Daniel Sedin to Henrik Sedin. And across for Hughes at center. Hughes delays before dumping the puck in. Giordano banks it around for Schmid, who returns the puck to Mark Giordano. Ahead to Gagliardi, his pass hit the skate of Henrik Sedin, and the Flames are forced back into their own zone. Schmid takes a look. That one deflects off Byron. Higgins battling for the puck for Vancouver. Byron winds up with it. Sends it into the middle. Camilleri with a pass for Stajan, and that was broken up. Higgins gloves the puck down and tips it to center, where Camilleri takes control for Calgary. Pass deflects right back to him, but Camilleri put himself offside as he overskated the puck trying to move in. And we'll take a break from Calgary, where the shots are 15-5 for Vancouver, and the score reads 1-0 visitors. Well, there's the goal scorer. John still standing up on his 7th.
Well, and people were talking without Alex Burrows whether the chemistry with Jannik Hansen and Henrik and Daniel Sedin. Look at this play. Jump into the breakaway position. Henrik Sedin feeds him with the perfect pass. That's a good read by Jannik to get himself in that spot. He's got 4 goals in the last 8 games playing with Henrik and Daniel Sedin. The +4. The Sedins aren't on that point-a-game pace that sometimes they are with Alex Burrows, but it's still been a pretty good fit.
Here's a chance for Santorelli, and his shot goes off the end of the glove of Reto Berra. Kessler taken down in the corner, crashes into the boards as the Flames break out with the puck. Brody to Byron. Slows as he moves into the zone. Pass for Brody, who wasn't looking. And Tanev able to intercept. Higgins digs the puck out of his feet. Tied up by Backlund. Finally, Santorelli able to take control as Tanev is slow to get up. Appears to be all right. Here's Santorelli through center. Down the right side. Throws one in front. Higgins with a wrist shot blocked by Camilleri. Chris Butler the other way. Camilleri in the middle of the ice. Trying to pass, and that was broken up by Dan Hamhuis. He sends Kessler away, moving it on Shane O'Brien. O'Brien takes it heavily into the corner boards as Kessler lost his balance. He's okay. O'Brien's broken his stick. He grabs Lance Bowman's stick as Booth tries to get a shot on goal and couldn't. So Lance Bowman defending without a stick here. Shot by Booth from the side, stopped by Berra, couldn't cover. Here's Weber putting one in front, and that bounces wide of the goal. Hamhuis moves down from the left point. Bowman without the stick moves to check in. Now he tries to cover the puck. It looked like he grabbed it. Play goes on. Booth has it in the corner. Hamhuis to Richardson. Turning on the left wing, trying to find some room. Pass intended for Weber, I think. Cassian tried to take it. Weber plays the puck around to the near side. Canucks feverishly working to hold it in. Cleared to the line. Leaping up to glove it down is Dan Hamhuis. Round to the other side. Weber moves down to the right point. In deep for Brad Richardson. Tied up by Backlund. Butler gets the puck, tips it ahead, and finally the Flames get it out. Here's Hoodler racing after the puck at the Vancouver line. Hamhuis takes it away from him and works the puck ahead to Zach Kassian. Kassian carries into Calgary territory, passes down for Tom Sestito. He's checked by Joe Colborne. Under 8 minutes to go in the second period. Sestito around for Kassian. Zach Kassian waiting behind the Calgary goal. Lots of people in front. Now he centers for Richardson. That was tipped away by Calgary's Gagliardi, who gets the puck out. Jason Garrison. Pass picked off by Ladislav Schmid. Here's David Jones. Puck deflects off his stick right to TJ Gagliardi, who moves in. Sends one across out of the reach of Colborne. He's checked by Zach Dalpe in the corner. Dalpe pokes the puck ahead to Dale Weiss, who lost it in his skates, and the puck stays in the Vancouver zone. Garrison able to pick it up. Ahead for Sestito. Touch pass to Dalpe. Sestito takes the drop feed. Let's go with a shot. Juggled by the goaltender. Dalpe backhands it to the crease, and Berra able to cover that one. And Sestito in the middle of things after the whistle.
Tom Sestito trying to get to that puck. Zach Dalpe doing a nice job in front. Chris Tanev skated slowly to the Canuck bench. Here he gets the elbow from Paul Byron. And you can see Mike Bernstein talking things over with Christopher Tanev on the bench. Look at that ice time. Who would have thought at the start of the year that he'd be over 22 minutes a game.
3 goals in his last 7, and still seems to be feeling the effects a little bit as he takes position at the right point. Henrik Sedin on the face-off against Matt Stajan. Hansen and Schmid both jump. Now they drop the puck. Stajan wins the draw to Giordano. Byron clears. Tanev bouncing on it, finally able to settle it, shovel it over to Hamhuis. Ahead for Hansen, tips the puck to Henrik Sedin. In behind, Daniel Sedin to Henrik. Hansen in front, shoots, stopped by Berra. Daniel on the rebound, trying to jam it home, still after the puck. And Berra able to get the whistle as Daniel took a couple of swipes at that while laying prone on the ice.
Mark Giordano lying on top of Daniel Sedin, and Daniel still trying to dig that one out. A couple of whacks at it, just was in too close to Berra. The shot by Jannik Hansen, rebound, and Daniel, you can see he's got 2 or 3 whacks in tight, tried to swing it around.
He even gloved it up.
Yes, he even gloved it up there. He gloves it up and tries to slide it in, and Berra was able to get that skate to the post. Another good shift for the Sedin line.
Higgins tries a shot right off the face-off, gets it again. That one goes wide. Santorelli, good work behind the net to come up with the puck. Mike Santorelli cuts in front of the backhand. Santorelli put one just wide. Kessler after the loose puck. Here's Higgins. Into the corner for Mike Santorelli. Santorelli in front, knocked away by the goaltender. Bieksa on the right wing. In behind the goal for Higgins. He missed the puck. Santorelli goes after it on the near side. Hoodler put it up the middle. Kessler intercepts. Into the corner. Chris Higgins takes the puck behind the goal. Centering pass blocked. Here's Santorelli onto the puck. Spinning on Brody. Santorelli trying to find some room on the left wing. In deep for Higgins. He turns away from Backlund. Chris Higgins sends one in front. That deflects to the side. Kessler's there. Back to Bieksa. Fakes the shot. In deep for Mike Santorelli. Under 6 minutes to go in the second. Here's the center feed. Bieksa stopped by Berra, sliding to his left. As Mike Santorelli set up another chance there for Kevin Bieksa, but the Canucks denied a second goal. They're up to 24 shots to just 5 for Calgary. And this was their latest from number 3 in white.
Pizza Hut wants to send you and a friend to a Canucks game with their Eat Pizza Win Tickets contest every week from December to March. One lucky fan will win a pair of tickets. Go to pizzahut.ca or call 310-1010 to order, and you're automatically entered to win. Pizza Hut, the official pizza of the Vancouver Canucks.
Look out, the Sedins are strategizing on this draw. Daniel skated back for a quick word with Chris Tanev. See what they try to work, if they can win the draw, but that's for naught as Stajan draws it back to Giordano. He flips the puck high. It goes off the glove of the Vancouver player, Yannick Weber, and into the Calgary bench.
You talked about Mark Giordano and missing a chunk of games, and it was 18 games to be exact. And you can see when he does play, when he doesn't, they were 5-11-2. And that speaks to the lack of depth on the Calgary Flames on the blue line, but it shows the importance of having that veteran leadership.
When's the last time you saw the Canucks with 2 right-hand defensemen on the ice in a 5-on-5 situation? Tanev and Weber, the pair for Vancouver. As Stempniak moves into the slap shot, gloved by Eddie Lack, and he hangs on with Stajan wheeling in, looking for a rebound.
And without Andrew Alberts, it's mix and match time, and that's why you end up with the 2 right-handers out there.
Seen 2 lefties quite often, particularly when Edler and Garrison were playing together regularly. But not often in a non-power play situation for the Canucks do we see 2 righties.
And you can see them talking to Mike Sullivan now, and that's what he's doing with the 5 defensemen.
Tanev flipped over to play the left side. Bieksa flips the puck out. And a hand pass will stop play with 5:18 to go in the second period.
You wonder what Brian Burke's going to do with this Calgary team. Jay Feaster was let go, and obviously they have to change something. And Brian has already talked about he's not going to be patient with the rebuild. I think Bob Hartley's done a decent job here with Calgary. They had a great start. Joey McDonald was playing well. Yuri Hudler had a 9-game point streak going. They were 4-2-2 out of the gate, but just couldn't keep it going. Well, the injury to Giordano coincided with their demise.
Well, an injury to Lee Stempniak, too. He had 9 points in the first 10 games of the season. Missed 7 games with an injury, and he's had 4 points in 21 games since.
And piled up a nice -18.
Under 5 minutes to go. Second period. Byron chasing after the puck. Hughes over to check him. And Bieksa takes control from Vancouver off the glass and out. Zach Cassidy ahead to David Booth. In over the Calgary line. Booth dumps one wide of the goal. Cassidy moves in after the puck on Shane O'Brien. O'Brien tied him up, allowing Backlund to skate out with the puck. Pass to Camilleri. Down for Michael Backlund. Back to Camilleri. Tried a quick shot blocked by Garrison, who gets the puck out to center to Chris Higgins. Higgins waiting for help. Here it comes in the form of Chris Tanev. Tanev works his way into the left wing corner. Knocked down on a check from Chris Butler. Tanev gets back up to hold the puck in. Now it's intercepted by Butler, who feeds ahead to Camilleri. 4 minutes to go in the second. Hoodler to Backlund. Puck up by him. Now it's thrown in front. It's off a Canuck stick. It's in the crease. Cleared out by Tanev. Close call there. Backlund into the corner for Camilleri. Kessler able to get the puck ahead to Higgins. He skates to center and chips it through towards Santorelli. He's hit in the corner by Giordano, but Higgins digs the puck free. Chris Higgins centers. Kessler checked as he tried a one-timer. Gagliardi was able to tie him up, and now Gagliardi passes to Jones. Calgary's 3-on-2. Jones in on the left wing. He shoots. Eddie Lack makes the save, and he hangs on for the whistle.
Eddie Lack has been very good, fortunate a couple of times in this game. Here's one bouncing around. It's off his blocker, and Chris Tanev's there to clear it out of danger. Off the stick, Eddie is able to just touch it, and Chris Tanev comes back. Played very well by Weber and Hamhuis. The 3-on-2. Eddie Lack takes the bad angle shot.
A little confusion on the change for the Canucks on that one, it looked like. Here's a chance for Monahan. Puck deflects to the side, cleared away as Smith was trying to move it. Now Dalpe pressuring Gagliardi, the Calgary end. There's a penalty coming up to Zach Dalpe. They're going to call him for either a hold or a hook.
I think it's going to be a hold.
And Zach Dalpe heads off with 3:05 to go in the second.
Zach Dalpe is, that could have been interference right there on the other side, and Dalpe reaches around and takes the holding penalty. TJ Gagliardi stepped into his lane, as the new rule says.
So an opportunity here for Calgary to really, I don't know what the word is, but disappoint the Canucks for sure. Calgary's only had 7 shots to this point in the hockey game, but a chance to tie the game at 1. That would be frustrating for sure for Vancouver as Camilleri lets fly with a shot blocked by Kessler. Kessler didn't know where the rebound was, and the Flames retake control. Hudler across for Giordano, has to take it on the ricochet. Giordano turning, feeds back. Camilleri fakes the shot, now lets it go. That went wide. Colborne at the side, checked by Tanev. Hudler comes up with the puck in the left wing corner. Banks it back to Camilleri, quickly to Giordano. Minute and a half to go in the power play. Camilleri left point. Down for Hudler. In front, Monahan couldn't get a shot away. Puck falls at the feet of Dan Hamhuis, and he's able to send it the length of the ice. Here's Camilleri starting from behind his own net. That pass, not a good one, and Garrison sends Calgary back to its own line. Camilleri able to send it ahead to Matt Stajan. He's into the Vancouver zone. Checked by Richardson. Stajan moves to take him out, but there for the puck is Kevin Bieksa, and he sends it down into the Calgary zone. A piece of the boards just fell off the gate at the Vancouver bench. While play goes on, Tom Sestito puts it back in place. O'Brien on the power play moves in and throws a hit on Garrison. Here's Stajan coming up with the puck. Swinging back towards Paul Byron. He's hit by Henrik Sedin, and Bieksa is able to backhand the puck out. 30 seconds to go in the minor penalty to Zach Dalpe. TJ Brodie for Calgary. Fires the puck back into the Canucks end. Bieksa tips it to Daniel Sedin. He turns and slides it ahead to Henrik. Henrik by himself moving into the Calgary zone. Now tries to send one in the middle for Daniel Sedin. O'Brien intercepts. Ahead to Stajan with 10 seconds to go in the Calgary power play. Shane O'Brien moves in. Drops one into the middle. Hudler fakes the shot. Dishes off. Giordano in front. Puck comes to O'Brien on the right wing. Penalty's over. Calgary 0 for 1 on the power play. Did not manage a shot. And Vancouver clears the zone with under a minute to go in the second period. Flames move up ice again. Backlund drops to Hudler. Across, Giordano bobbled the puck. Now he gets it, fires it wide. Hudler on the rebound, and Lack came across to make the save as Jiri Hudler
Through the legs?
Through the legs. What a stop by Lack on a cheeky, creative, and talented play by Hudler. He's in after the puck again. Weber tips it to the far corner, gets to the puck himself. Ahead to Santorelli, who is checked before he can move the puck out. Weber gets it to Santorelli again. He forces the puck up to Ryan Kessler, who goes rink wide at center for Higgins, but that one deflects right through to Reto Berra, who slides the puck to the side. Flames trying to move back in. They're going to run out of time. 40 minutes gone now. Little milling about on the horn. Just the one goal in the hockey game, and it belongs to Jannik Hansen, who scored at 19:20 of the first period. Eddie Lack has not been busy. Only 8 shots faced. 20 minutes to go. And Jeff, the Canucks with the lead here on the road in Calgary.
Welcome back to Calgary. The score after 2, the same as the score after 1. It's taking on the Flames. Scoring summaries brought to you by Panago. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. There's the lone goal scorer, Hansen. The last-minute goal in the first, his 7th. In the second, no scoring. Flames with more shots on goal, but just 8 so far in the hockey game.
All right, it's time for John Garrett's Fresh Takes, brought to you by Subway. Escape the cold with the new Sriracha Steak Melt. Subway, eat fresh.
My fresh take tonight is a fresh face on the bench for the Vancouver Canucks. Joachim Eriksson, is he into this game? And this, your first NHL game as a potential goaltender. You're sitting on the bench, you're enjoying it, and you're appreciating what your team is doing. And that was the penalty killing. He was applauding for that. But he was applauding for an Eddie Lack save earlier, that one that he made in tight. And it's always nice to have that excitement on the bench.
From parts unknown.
Mysterio, Mr. Mysterio, off the top rope.
1-0 Canucks as we go to the third period. As the Flames continue to search for offense. Red O'Bara, no support in their last game against Edmonton. And Jannik Hansen, the only goal of this hockey game as he drives the puck in from center. Henrik Sedin after. Michael Backlund checking in. Here's Van Hughes. Henrik taken down under the check of Schmid. Puck laying loose. Flames come up with it. And Backlund makes a move to get around Hansen and skate to center. Backlund onto the right side, cutting to the middle now. Here's a chance for Forman. Centering it, tipping it just wide was Backlund from the top of the crease. Nice three-way passing there, but Backlund couldn't quite find the angle. Van Hughes tips the puck to the near side. Butler moves down from the blue line. Backlund checked by Hansen. Puck in the front. Byron trying to slide it through. Kicked away by Lack. Determined start for Calgary. Here's a shot from the line, and that's sailed over top of the goal. Gagliardi letting it fly. Daniel Sedin trying to come up with the puck. He's checked by Brody. Gagliardi tips the puck back to Butler. Henrik Sedin out to greet him. Here's a shot attempt by Brody. Broke his stick. Loose puck. And Jones is stopped by Lack. And a quick shot from in tight. Good pressure from Calgary early, and the Canucks are fatigued here. Here's a centering pass for Colburn out of his reach. Minute and a half gone, and Canucks have some tired legs out there. Hansen gets the loose puck. Doesn't want to ice it. They like to get it out. And he's tied up the side of the goal with his man. Fans reacting to that. Here's Gagliardi fighting off the check of Hansen. Frantic start to the period. Butler at the blue line. Moves to the middle. Long shot wide. Loose puck behind the net. Hughes hit the referee with it trying to get it out. Here's a chance for Tanev. He'll skate the puck forward. Get it to Henrik Sedin, who is able to flip it down into the Calgary zone and facilitate a line change. 2 minutes into the third. And here's Monahan in on the left wing. Sends one in front into the glove of Eddie Lack, and he'll take the whistle.
Calgary Flames with a couple of chances and a tired Dan Hughes getting his skate done. Michael Backlund has the potential, and look at this move on Jannik Hansen to start a 3-on-2. Hansen hurries back, but on the rush, Hansen lets Backlund go, and then Backlund has the tip just go wide. Another shot in close. Jones has it, the quick spinorama, and Eddie Lack in good position to make the save. And then Hughes and Ladislav Speed get tied up behind the net.
Flames win possession. Long shot cleared away by Bieksa. And Santorelli brings the puck out. Wristed in behind the Calgary goal. Flames try to clear. And now Kessler forced out to center by Monahan. Kessler chips the puck forward. Bieksa. And Santorelli was offside as Kevin Bieksa tried to move in.
Ryan Kessler, longest drought this year has been 4 games without a point. He is currently 4 games without a point.
That was after putting up 9 points in the previous 8 games. But Kessler 4 without a point, 7 without a goal.
He's been really good in the faceoff circle in this one. He is 7 out of 9 in the first 2 periods.
Brad Richardson on this faceoff. Camilleri handed the puck to David Booth. He plays it in behind the Calgary goal. Shot around by Smith, blocked by Cassie, who keeps working for the puck along the boards. Richardson winds up with it, back to Kevin Bieksa, long shot, and a blocker saved by Red O'Bara. Puck ricochets to center, Garrison plays it ahead for Booth. to the near side. Richardson trying to move in. The puck deflects off his and Derek Smith's sticks and out of play.
Face-off comes just outside as it was hit by both sticks. They say that it was off the Canucks stick, Brad Richardson. Up and over. Kevin Bieksa talking to Murph about the defensemen and how they rotate around and you just try and keep fresh legs out there. It's hard with the 5 guys because you're not going out with your regular partner, so you have to pay attention not to have too many men on the ice.
You said 5 guys. I'm distracted. Here's Brody rushing in on the left wing. Gets in deep centers. That's deflected, and Lack able to take it in the crest and hang on for the whistle. Canucks with 5 defensemen because of what happened in the first period to Andrew Alberts.
Well, Jeff talking to our panel, Brian Lawton and Neil Smith, and they both think that will be suspension worthy. I agree with them. No need to get the hands up to the head, and the elbowing major called.
Alberts will not be back. 2:43 into the first that happened, and you worry about a concussion when you see a play like that.
Neil was my boss one year with the Rangers when I was their goalie guru. Hard to believe, I know.
How was their goaltending record?
It was very good. Mike Richter got nominated for a Vezina that year.
There you go, under the tutelage
Yes.
of you. Icing call against Calgary. And you're going to be strapping on the pads again soon?
Yes. Bob Hartley, I think, has been assured. I've been told that he's been assured he's going to be here till the end of the year, at least, by Brian Burke. Hasn't had a whole lot to work with. The Iginla Kiprasov signaled the rebuild, and any coach coming in knows it's going to be a little while before things turn around.
Garrison in a collision with David Jones. Puck deflects over to Kevin Bieksa. Passes to Garrison. Throws one ahead. Santorelli trying to move in. And able to slide the puck around to the far corner. And Stajan tips the puck up the board. Stempniak into the middle for Stajan. Able to get by Kessler and carry to the Vancouver blue line. Stajan throws one in front. Jones couldn't get a shot away. Winds up in the corner. Stempniak there. Reverses for Stajan. Stajan with a centering pass. That's off his stick. Stempniak under the watch of Chris Higgins. Stajan puts the puck in front. Santorelli intercepts. Tips it free to Jason Garrison. He gets the puck out. Flames have outshot the Canucks 4-1 here in the third. In the game, Vancouver outshooting Calgary 25-12. And Jansen, who has the only goal, is back onto the ice with Daniel and Henrik Sedin. Sedin doesn't know what to do. Passes to the side. Giordano throws the puck forward. Flames tried to tip it and move in. That was broken up, and the puck is back into the Calgary zone. Sean Monahan. Pass blocked by Hansen, trying to break in on goal. Took a slash and went down. Play goes on, and Schmid gets the puck out. Monahan up the right wing. Hoodler down for Camilleri. Stripped of the puck by Dan Hamhuis, who fights off a check, plays to the side. Brody holds the puck in behind the goal. Tanev there for Vancouver. Gets it around the boards, and it takes a Canuck bounce off the glass and escapes the zone. Here's TJ Brody, dangerous pass, almost intercepting was David Booth. But now the Flames work the puck ahead, and Byron's in on the left wing. Paul Byron, drop pass, Colburn cuts wide. Joe Colburn centers, backhander, Lack with the save, sprawling in the crease. And he's got the puck. Great chance in front, but Eddie Lack was able to cover the bottom half and make the stop.
Eddie Lack didn't get across, but he was able to stretch over to make the save. Puck comes across in front. Eddie is expecting shot, so he's down early. And you can see he stretches over with the stick and the leg. Didn't slide the body over, but good reaction with that stick to make the save and finally reels it in.
TJ Gagliardi with the chance.
Eddie Lack getting some equipment adjustment. Pat O'Neill at the Canuck bench. Referee there to make sure that it's all legit.
It's the year of the Outdoor Classics, and there's one in the AHL featuring Toronto and Grand Rapids. It's tomorrow. You can see it on Sportsnet 2 Pacific, the AHL Outdoor Classic.
See, the junior game got postponed today. Well, not postponed, delayed due to sun. I wouldn't want to be on the sun end. Toss a coin for that?
Yeah. We love games of chance. Any game of chance. Here's Zach Kassian, gaining center before dumping the puck into the Calgary zone. Barra up the near side to Colborne. And he flips the puck out. Bieksa took a swing at it. Tanev winds up with the puck. Plays it to the Calgary blue line. Just past the 6-minute mark. Third period. 1-0 Canucks. Shane O'Brien to TJ Gagliardi. He finds Michael Backlund. Backlund turns just inside the blue line. Works his way to the high slot. Just his on quick shot wide. As Bowman trying to test him. Eddie Lack. Here's O'Brien. Intercepting his Bieksa, and he finds Kassian. Who again wisely gains center before playing the puck in behind the Calgary goal. Flames throw the puck ahead. Stempniak leads for Backlund. Boma just onside on his left as Backlund throws on the brakes. Puck chopped wide by Stempniak. Weber able to play it for Tom Sestito. And he passes back to Dan Hamhuis. Hamhuis seeing lots of ice. All the remaining Canuck defense. Dalby taken down. Weber winds up with the puck ahead to Dale Weiss, who deflects it in deep into the Calgary zone. Dalby hustles to the puck. Zach Dalby works his way to the right wing, turns with a wrist shot wide. Garrison elects to move backwards as Hudler brings the puck up. Dalby blocked his pass, but Hudler gets the puck back and carries in. Yuri Hudler stops. Converged upon by numerous Canucks, and Dalby comes up with it. He didn't gain center, however. Now they wave it off as Barra didn't realize it, came out to play the puck. Canucks catch a break there. That fourth line had been out a little while. There was going to be an icing call, but Red O'Bara came out to play the puck. And now it'll be an icing call the other way as Tanev goes back for Vancouver. Murph.
Guys, for the first time ever, Canucks will be part of the Heritage Classic. Ottawa versus Vancouver, March 2nd at BC Place. Tickets on sale now, and Heritage jerseys can be purchased at select retail outlets.
John, the goaltender has to be aware of what's happening. Adolphe is still on his side of center, and you can see Barra. He starts to go, and once you start, you might as well go and play it.
He's signaling icing while moving out to play the puck. At least that's what it looked like. 8 minutes gone in the third. Chris Higgins did well to come up with that puck, but it's taken away by Calgary. And iced again, Hamhuis. And Tanev just ahead of Colborne, who complains that he was leading that race and icing should have been waved off.
I think Dan Hamhuis might have had the angle, but that was a borderline one for sure. And you see Colborne shaking his head. Dan Hamhuis is coming from the other side. Chris Tanev's there. Here comes Hamhuis. And I think the linesman thought the puck was going to make it around the corner to Hamhuis first. And the Canucks stick did get it first. Whistle had already gone.
Calgary's got a beat for it.
Yes, I think they do.
Eddie Lack out to cut that one up just above the goal line, and Kevin Bieksa takes possession for Vancouver. Dan Hamhuis ahead to Henriksen. Tip pass to Daniels in on the left wing. Wrist shot stopped by Barra. He hangs on, and we'll take a break on the whistle with 11:27 to go in the third. Still 1-0 Canucks in Calgary.
Think you know the Canucks? Prove it. Enter the MBNA Last Fan Standing contest for a chance to win. Predict game day action for a chance to win season tickets for the Canucks. What are you waiting for? Visit Canucks.com/lastfanstanding today to learn more. And you could be the last fan standing.
Canucks right back at it tomorrow. Philadelphia Flyers at Rogers Arena. Second of their two meetings this year. Canucks with 3-2 winners in October. We're on the air with our coverage beginning at 6:30. Flyers coming off the shootout win in Edmonton.
Another icing.
11:20 to go in this one.
I wonder if Greg Shannon's eligible for the Think You Know the Canucks. He was Alfie Michaud and Martin Brochu talking about the goaltenders, and it was just, oh man.
Greg Shannon, our producer. He was going deep into the archives today.
Wow.
Henrik Sedin couldn't reach that puck. The linesman to contend with. Gagliardi able to bring it to center, tip it into the Vancouver zone. Winds up in the corner. Dan Hamhuis picks it up on the backhand and shovels the puck out to neutral ice. 9 minutes into the third period. And Stempniak deflects the puck back in. Jannik Hansen, first man back. Leaves behind the net. Flames intercept. Stempniak stopped by Lack, who doesn't know where the puck is.
I think that might have hit him in the mask.
Right place, right time. Now a deflection attempt by Stajan didn't get through. Vandriak as Gagliardi is spilled. Play continues. Just 2 power plays in the hockey game. All the Canucks was 5 minutes long on the major to McGrath. Lack and Garrison again. A little confused as they were in the first period out of the net. Flames work to hold the puck in. Camilleri comes over. They got an injured Flame. Stajan's down in the corner. Play continuing and now blown down by Greg Kimmerly. As Matt Stajan checks for damage and has a few words for the official.
And there was no penalty call on the play. It can't be. And you can see Matt Stajan is complaining about it. Bob Hartley looks on. There's Jason Garrison is in with Stajan, and whose stick caught him there? It wasn't Garrison's.
Eddie Lack, right place, right time.
It is off the top of his helmet. He headed that one over the bar. Soccer goalie style.
15th shot for the Flames, 9 of them here in the third. And Matt Stajan continues his campaign. Camilleri at center. Couldn't move the puck forward. Now Monahan trying to tip it through. Beaten to the puck by Garrison of the Vancouver blue line. Camilleri in his own zone. Finds Derek Smith. There's a move past the halfway mark of the third. Yuri Hudler. Pass ahead. Deflects off Camilleri right to Shane O'Brien. Checked by David Booth, but the puck stays in the zone. Here's Monahan with a wrist shot. Blocked by Brad Richardson. Tanev comes up with the puck, plays it off the glass and out. Will it be enough for icing? No. And Kassian moves in on Monahan, who's able to come up with a puck and work it to Shane O'Brien. Kassian trying to strip him of the puck. Paul Byron comes back to collect, and he skates his way to center. Good burst from Byron, fakes the shot. Now steps around Weber, puts the puck to the side. Stempniak couldn't get it on goal. Colburn forces it through the slot, now goes after the puck in the corner. Stempniak, pass back. Butler, wrist shot, blocked. Santorelli gets the loose puck, and he's able to spin and find some room. Pass ahead to Ryan Kessler, who drops for Santorelli. In over the Calgary line. Higgins plays the puck in deep. Santorelli interfered with a bit by Butler, but play goes on. Brody has room to move at center. TJ Brody sends one in front, blocked and covered by Eddie Lack. And now a big scrum at the side of the goal. As the Flames were going hard to the net, trying to jar that puck free, and the Canucks react as you might expect. Bieksa and Brody continuing on. They'll separate. We'll take a short break. Still a 1-goal game. Canucks on top. Just over 8.5 to...
Price has a sight set on Gold, then the Cup. We go one-on-one with Montreal's netminder in the latest issue of Sportsnet magazine. Subscribe now, sportsnet.ca/magazine.
You look at the prospects for the Canucks and what they did today, and World Juniors going on. As we all know, Brendan Gaunce had an assist, and that's without Connor McDavid, who is playing with another Canuck draft pick, Bo Horvat, over at the World Juniors.
Big club up 1-0 here in Calgary. Flames having their best period of the game. They've won 9 of 13 face-offs, outshot the Canucks 7-2. But right now it's Vancouver looking to keep the puck in the Calgary zone. The extra shoveled it back towards Henrik Sedin, who now has the puck into the corner for Daniel. He goes behind the net. Daniel leaves for Henrik. Hansen's in front. As Henrik surveys from there, comes out of the back end. Works his way to the left wing boards. Passes back to Garrison. In for Hansen. Henrik Sedin lets the puck go through to Daniel. Henrik curls to the front as Daniel comes out the far side. Giordano broke his stick. He grabs Camilleri's. Garrison with a shot. That was deflected and blocked. Flames can't get the puck out. Giordano with a chance as he navigates all the debris. Able to find Backlund, who skates back in his own zone. Both teams are changing as Backlund is flushed out by Jannik Hansen. Now Brody with the puck. In over the Vancouver line. Leaves for Camilleri. Long wrist shot. Stick saved by Lack. Colmore went down going after the rebound, and Santorelli gets the puck out. 7.5 minutes to go in the third. Here's Mike Camilleri. Pass deflected. Puck winds up in the far corner. Brody is there.
They're still skating through the timber in the Flame zone.
Bad pass for the Flames, picked off. Richardson moves in, finds Higgins. Across, Santorelli stopped by Berra with the right pad as Mike Santorelli had a great chance in front. Now he gets the puck back to Hamhuis, long shot, gloved by Berra. And his two toughest stops of the period. Santorelli, a glorious chance to make it 2-0.
Almost too much time for Mike Santorelli. He thinks about it. Berra comes across, gets in position, and then slides to his right to make the save. Another look at it, Santorelli comes in, and you can see Berra just slides over at the last second to take that away.
Almost squeezed it between the arm and the body, but the puck stayed out. Santorelli tied for third in Canucks scoring with 24 points. Weber off the draw, pokes the puck forward, but the Flames able to send it out, and here comes Monahan in on the left wing. Tried to send it in front, that was blocked by Yannick Weber. Flames work the puck to the blue line, Derek Smith trying to find a shooting lane, wrist one in front, that deflects behind the goal. Puck loose at the side, Eddie Lack will grab it, take the whistle. And before the face-off of the Vancouver zone, here's Murph.
Well, shop and swipe your club card at Safeway today. Watch future Sportsnet telecasts, and you could win a week of unlimited luxury at Dreams Resorts and Spas, courtesy of redtag.ca.
Minus 17 in Calgary yesterday.
Yes. Trip looks good.
Only in Calgary. It was 9 the day before. High of 9, high of minus 17 yesterday.
Wasn't as bad today.
Puck out of play at the Calgary bench. Face off coming up in the neutral zone. Just under 6.5 minutes remaining.
Had to go outside to get the Subway for the pregame meal.
Ham and cheese, extra cheese, mustard
Yes.
mayo.
Yes.
Canucks put Dalpe out with Sestito and Weiss for the face-off outside the Vancouver line. Sestito bobbled the puck. It stays in the Vancouver zone. Dalpe onto it. Pass to Bieksa ahead for Weiss. And this will be an icing call against the Canucks. 1 goal. Here's how it looked.
Oh, this pass, Henrik Sedin. Beautiful pass to Jannik Hansen. Knocked it down, bobbled it a little bit, and then just flung that wrist shot just inside the post on Reto Berra.
19:20 of the first period when that occurred. Flames win the draw in the Vancouver zone. Stempniak sends one in front. Comes off the corner boards back towards Giordano. Pass for Backlund. Dalpe checks him and gets the puck out. Racing after it is Weiss. He falls down under the check of Giordano, who sprawled to make the play. Hamhuis controls ahead for Weiss, and he couldn't make contact, so it's going to be icing again.
I'm not picking the stars in this one. Our good friend Charlie Simmer is, but Henrik Sedin's had a good game, and considering it started off like this in the warm-up, the shot off the air, and you can see the stitches and the gel, so there's no friction cuts in. Here's Jannik Hansen snapping it by Reto Berra on the beautiful pass, and then Daniel chips one up into his face, and Henrik with another good pass to Jannik Hansen.
Here's Kevin Bieksa skating the puck to center. Canucks changing behind him in the neutral zone as Bieksa plays the puck in behind the Calgary net. Daniel Sedin disrupted that pass from Butler. Henrik goes after the puck behind the goal, beaten to it by O'Brien, who stops to get away from the check of the Canuck captain. 5.5 minutes to go. O'Brien to Monahan. plays one hard around to the far side. Garrison to the puck first. Checked as he stopped. Centered by Camilleri. Back to Butler. Slap shot. Right pad saved by Lack. And Monahan checked by Tanev as he tried to get a shot off the rebound. Daniel Sedin missed the puck as he tried to poke it out. And now it's picked up by Jannik Hansen. Canucks with a break through center. Hansen in on the right wing. Slap shot gloved by Berra, who was going down and awkwardly put the glove up to make the save. Kind of fought that one off to deny Jannik Hansen his second of the game, and it stays 1-0 with 5 to go. Summary brought to you by The Brick. Nobody beats The Brick for furniture, mattresses, appliances, and big screen TVs.
Henrik Sedin, keep your head up even in warm-up. Good thing he had his helmet on. It would have been a lot worse. Jannik Hansen, 4 goals in the last 8 games playing with the Sedins and the Flames. Not much offense going for them. Only 8 shots in the first period. Been much better here in the third. They've had 9 shots here in the third and have been really trying to force the issue.
Face-off win for Kessler. Stajan winds up with the puck, however. Down for Brody, who shovels it out to center. There's Jiri Hudler. Pass picked off by Bieksu. Sends the puck quickly the other way. Santorelli moves in. Mike Santorelli to Chris Higgins. Higgins stops in the corner. Checked by Butler. Stajan winds up with the puck and makes a play to TJ Brody. Brody stops just inside the Vancouver blue line. Pass got by Bieksa, who missed it. Here's Byron trying to work his way towards the front. Bieksa takes the puck away and gets it out. Giordano. Pass partially blocked by Santorelli. Now the puck played back to Giordano, who sends it over to Schmid. Stempniak takes his pass. Moves in on the right wing. Stajan in the corner. Checked by Daniel Sedin. Stempniak comes up with the puck, trying to work out front. Ran into the goaltender. Lack losing his stick, but he'll be able to collect it as Jannik Hansen sneaks the puck out to center. Under 4 minutes remaining. Hudler loses the puck to Daniel Sedin. Centering. Here's Hansen. Cuts wide to the crease, and Henrik couldn't knock it home. Jannik Hansen again. High slot. Dishes off. Left point. Handhuse. Here's Tanev. Look out. He was able to just poke the puck away as Colburn was trying to steal it. Henrik Sedin on the right wing. Carries in behind the goal. Giordano's on him. Henrik for Daniel. Cassian's come on to join the Twins. There's a pass. Cassian shot. Deflects to the side. Henrik couldn't find the puck. And it's cleared out by Giordano. No icing as Handhuse goes back for Vancouver. Henrik slowly to the bench. He was hunched over, but I think he might just be tired after that shift, although he does seem to be favoring something. And being checked out by Mike Bernstein as action continues out on the ice. Flames trying to move in. Byron had to wait for Backlund to clear this on. Here's O'Brien on the right side. Pass back. Smith shoots just wide. O'Brien working to hold the puck here. Gets away from David Booth. Shane O'Brien moves to the middle. O'Brien still with the puck. Down the left wing. O'Brien tried to get one on goal. That was blocked by Tanev, who works the puck ahead to Zach Cassian. Richardson gets the puck to Booth. Tried to get it in deep. That hit Byron. 2.5 minutes remaining. Flames take control in their own zone. Here's Smith with that good look from well out. It didn't miss the net by much. O'Brien circles back into his own end. Shane O'Brien ahead to Backlund. Puck knocked away by Kessler. Santorelli's after it. Here's Kessler. Santorelli scores! Mike Santorelli set up by Ryan Kessler. And with 2:16 to go, the Canucks make it 2-0.
We were talking about Ryan Kessler, his point streak. Longest one without a point, 4 games. Well, it's over at 4 games again. Michael Backlund is just outworked by Ryan Kessler. Santorelli makes no mistake on this one. Michael Backlund's bringing it back, and Ryan Kessler just outworks him for it and gets it to Santorelli, who beats Reto Berra.
25th points for both Santorelli and Kessler, who remain tied for third in team scoring, and another winner in scoring win courtesy Safeway and Oikos multi-packs. Mitsuko Barkley of Duncan, he won a men's Bulletin Marine Star chronograph watch.
Ryan Kessler, 9 out of 14 face-offs, over 20 minutes, and back on the offensive scoreboard.
17:44, the time of the 2-0 goal. Reto Berra to the bench as the Flames down 2. Those 6 attackers with quite a bit of time left. Flames. Shot got through from Giordano. Stopped by Eddie Lack. Now Giordano again, and that's tipped to the corner by Jason Garrison. Under 2 minutes remaining. Flames get the puck to Giordano once more. Across to Coldwood. Back to Mark Giordano. Here's Brody to Giordano. Over to TJ Brody. Other side, one-timer. Hit the post! Camilleri hit the post. Pucked up free by Santorelli. And he puts it off the glass and out to center. Mike Camilleri coming out so close. And now the Flames are offside. And the whistle blows with 1:31 to go.
Well, Mike Camilleri loves this spot on his forehand, gets ready. Good pass, one-timer off the inside of the post. And Eddie Lack is very fortunate on that one.
Mike Camilleri, 5 points in his last 4 games. Almost made it 6 in 5 there. And timeout call. So both teams will huddle with 91 seconds remaining, and the Calgary Flames trailing 2-0.
Canucks hockey on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Subway. Escape the cold with our new Sriracha steak melt. Subway. Eat fresh.
It's nice to see the Kessler line rewarded with a goal. They've had a good game in this one. They've had a ton of chances, and they finally get one to go.
This game moving towards a conclusion, and don't forget, immediately following, it's 24/7 Red Wings Maple Leafs Road to the NHL Winter Classic. That's coming up next on Sportsnet. After the Canucks and Flames finish their business here, net remains empty for Calgary. Minute and a half to go. 6 attackers for the Flames, trailing 2-0. Camilleri winds up with the puck at center. And that is rifled into the Vancouver zone. Tanev trying to reverse. Henrik Sedin back deep in his own zone. Stempniak blocks that one. And he's able to send the puck around. Camilleri hustling after it, can't hold it in. Minute and 10 seconds remaining, and the Flames setting it up at their own blue line, going forward to Stempniak. Able to shake free of the check of Hanhus, but his pass intercepted. Hansen to Henrik. Here's Daniel, empty net, fighting the puck a bit, and he hit the post on the backhand. Got the shot off and just missed by a margin. Now Hansen tries, blocked by Camilleri. And Giordano winds up with the puck. Final minute, third period, 45 seconds to be exact as Hanhus risks the puck in, and Daniel Sedin is after him. Threw it past Henrik. Holborn gets the puck at center. He finds Hudler who moves in. Jiri Hudler turns on the left wing. Still with the puck. Last one blocked by Bieksa. Daniel Sedin one-hands the puck, can't get it out. Under 30 seconds to go, and Bieksa clears the zone. Won't be enough for icing as Brody goes back, and the Canucks get fresh legs onto the ice. 20 seconds left. Derek Smith banks one up. Gets by Monahan. Garrison goes back. Sends one forward off the skate of Santorelli. Monahan moves to check in. 5 seconds remaining. And the Flames are going to be blank for the second game in a row, and it's the second career shutout for Eddie Lack. With Roberto Luongo out due to injury, Lack steps in and does what he's done all season in his first year. He plays well, and this one winds up 2-0 Vancouver as Eddie Lack stops all 18 shots he faced.